The former cop played by Angela Bassett on Wednesday's episode of American Horror Story, Roanoke kidnapped her daughter amid a child custody battle. But by the end of the second episode of the season, Angela's character Lee was screaming in terror as she feared she had completely lost her daughter to evil forces. The season, told both through a fake true crime documentary and dramatic scenes reenacted for it, saw Lee and her brother Matt and his wife Shelby, played by Cuba Gooding Jr. and Sarah Paulson in the reenactments, increasingly terrified of their new home. It started with Shelby seeing a human sacrifice in the woods nearby, and ended with them finding a video of a professor who was once at the home recalling how two nurses once used it as an assisted living home where they murdered the patients. His story explained how they picked victims with first letters to their names that spelled out murder, but only got as far as murd before, the professor insisted, something even more evil than they were stopped them. But as the adults questioned their sanity, and failed to sell their home back to the bank, an equally chilling encounter hit Lee's daughter Flora after she was dropped off for a visit by Lee's ex. When the youngster first told her mother that she had made a new friend, the girl with the funny clothes, Priscilla, it was put down to imaginary games to cope with her parents' divorce. But she then terrified her parents when Dad Mason came back to collect her, with them finding her talking to Priscilla in a cupboard. She told them she was offering her imaginary friend her favorite doll, telling her parents, as a trade, so she wouldn't kill us. As they looked on in horror, Flora continued, they were going to kill us all, and save me for last. Mason was shocked by the graphic language and raced his child from the house, telling Lee as they left, she's never coming back here. I'm calling the judge. Lee then relapsed with booze and saw the kind of visions, a quick flash of the killer nurses as well as a moving, squealing pig's head, which she assumed her brother and sister-in-law had made up. By the end of the episode, Lee had snuck back to visit her daughter, and arrived back at the house with her without permission, insisting, I just wanted to see her. Next thing knew we were driving back to the house. Matt told her she must have lost your mind, adding, Lee, you're a police officer and technically this is kidnapping. Shelby managed to persuade Dad Mason on the phone not to involve the police, but when they went to get Flora ready for her pickup she had gone, following a vision of a girl she saw out in the land around the house. As the adults ran out desperately searching for her, Lee eventually let out a piercing scream, as she found her daughter's yellow hoodie at the top of a tall tree that would have been impossible to climb. The final scene of the episode. What kind of mother does the kind of things I did in those times? It's my great shame, I hate myself for it, Lee was seen saying earlier about it all. As well as the dramatic segments, separate acts also played the roles of the three main characters explaining the story to camera for the documentary about their story, explaining how they initially ignored the spooky goings-on. It had started by Shelby coming across a character played by Kathy Bates doing a ritual in which a decapitated pig's head was forced onto a man's own head before he was raised over a spit roast. Even she believed it was an elaborate hoax to scare them away from the house, with her telling her husband, we can't let them. We can't leave. Not when every cent we have is tied up in that house. I agree we're not going to lose our entire life savings on account of these a-holes. We fight, unleashed until we can sell, Matt agreed later. Later they heard a pig squeal in the night, and found a fire with a pig's head and slabs of meat, a discovery that finally got them police protection. This was beyond having a cross burned on your lawn, the Matt in the documentary, this time played by Andre Holland, said, adding, there was something demonic about it. Matt then answered the phone in the middle of the night, with a woman over a crackling line begging please, they were hurting me, why do you let them hurt me, even though he saw that the phone was unplugged. He then saw a lifelike vision of two nurses shooting dead an elderly woman who refused to take her meds. The nurses were seen cackling wildly while spray painting a large M on the wall, laughing, M is for Margaret. Matt and Shelby later both saw what they thought was a woman standing in the yard, and when they followed her out found a trapdoor leading to a hidden bunker. They found a video camera, and playing back a tape saw the man that Shelby and Lee saw in the tape from the first episode. "There are forces that will not let me sleep," the man said nervously, showing wounds on his neck from when the visions got physical. "I fear going back into that house now. I fear that whatever malevolent force is there intends to kill me. So I'm living here in this cellar." He then explained he was an academic named Dr. Elias Cunningham who had gone to the house to write a true crime book on the killer nurses, Miranda and Bridget Jane, saying they were killing elderly patients who had the right first initials to spell murder. He said they only got as far as murd, and when Matt went inside the house and peeled away wallpaper he found the unfinished word exactly as explained. It seemed totally crazy, but everything he said on that tape was true, Shelby. The letters on the wall proved it. But when they finished the tape, he warned there was worse, as he was convinced the killer nurses were stopped by something even more evil than they were before they could commit their final killing. "Something here, everywhere, in the air, in the woods, in the house," he said. The professor then went back in the house for the first time in weeks, with the tape dramatically ending as he was attacked. At the exact same moment, Matt and Shelby heard a noise, and went out to see a bloody axe stuck in a wall. American Horror Story, Roanoke continues next week on FX.